U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken thinks Hamas and Israel are getting closer to reaching an agreement on a ceasefire and release of captives, but aren't there yet.
There's still real challenges. We've closed the gaps, but there are still gaps. So I can't put a timeline on it.
Blinken was in Cairo for talks with Arab foreign ministers to try to further the negotiations being mediated by Qatar and Egypt.
We hope that our combined efforts have an effect in the present time. There is no room to wait, and there is no room to allow a further increase in human suffering, and there is no room to continue the war.
This is Blinken's sixth trip to the region since the conflict began in October. His tone appears to have shifted, more compelled by the plight of the Palestinians, nearly 32,000 of whom have been killed by Israel's war on Gaza. He was also more critical of Israel, whom he warned against invading Rafah.
That a major ground operation in Rafah would be a mistake and something that we can't support. There is no place for the many civilians who are massed in Gaza, in Rafah, to go to get out of harm's way. And for those that would inevitably remain, it would be a humanitarian disaster.
In New York, at the United Nations, growing impatience, the Security Council has failed to decisively act.
We need to decide and to take action now. We cannot procrastinate again and again and push the ball down the road. I think we need to take action.
The Security Council is expected to vote on Friday on an American draft resolution on Gaza. In it, the U.S. calls for an immediate and sustainable ceasefire, but not demanding it, instead saying it's imperative in less binding language. And it conditions a ceasefire on the release of captives. When it comes to Security Council resolutions, language matters. A Russian diplomat told me his country would only support a Gaza draft resolution that demanded an immediate ceasefire. That's why there's a second draft resolution. This one brought forth by 8 of the 10 non-permanent members. And it does demand an immediate ceasefire, and it too could also be voted on as early as Friday. Gabriel Elizondo, Al Jazeera at the United Nations in New York.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.